will call the meeting to order. We have 6 commissioners present, which it gives us a quorum. We currently have 11 total commissioners, so that's 50% plus 1. And let's do a quick roll call to establish who is here. I'm Commissioner Labouisse, present. Commissioner Wilson, you're on mute.
Commissioner Wilson, present.
Excellent. Commissioner Rasmussen,
Present.
Commissioner Swope,
Here.
Commissioner Bocanegra,
Present.
great, and Commissioner Norrie.
Present.
Good, that's 6, and I don't see any others. So we have a quorum. Let's get on with the meeting. We might need to adjust a little bit or move quickly through some items. But one other piece of administrative business, commissioners, we need to vote on a resolution to meet remotely. To have a motion to meet.
I move we meet remotely.
For AB 361. Second. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let's have a quick voice vote for continuing to meet remotely. Come off mute and all in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, none opposed. Thank you. That motion passes. We will continue to meet remotely. I will quickly update now that in our last meeting, one of the items that we said that we would investigate is the possibility of in-person meetings with a Zoom hybrid in the future. And that was one thing that that we were meant to go off and investigate. I was going to head that up, and I will report now that we have not made any progress yet on that, but are still intending to do it. So more to come in the future. Next administrative item is to just review and approve our agenda. Like I said, we will try to get through as much as we can in the time that we have left.
We approve the agenda.
I second.
Thank you. Commissioners, come off mute. Let's have a quick voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. In addition, we have minutes attached to the agenda packet from our August monthly meeting, as well as I included notes from our commission retreat, which was also agendized and open to the public. So because of that, we need to approve those notes and
I'd like
make them
to-
available.
Can I make a motion to approve items E and F, please?
I think you can. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion amongst commissioners about the last month's meeting minutes or the notes from the retreat? Any comments or edits?
I had a couple of things. On page 3 of the minutes, I think was meant ethnic instead of ethics studies. It's the fourth
Yeah.
line from the bottom. So I think that's just the
That
word.
sounds right. And just a quick note for everyone, with Commissioner Huber Levy on vacation and not present, Commissioner Norrie, Sopvik Norrie, is going to be taking our minutes for this meeting. So he'll note that. Anything else on the minutes?
On the last page 5, on D, I asked the grand jury foreperson to find out whether I need to resign. And so far there has been, are you gone?
No, we're here. We see you and hear you.
Okay. All right, there we are. To find out, and so far there seems to be no concern. So
Okay.
if anybody says anything, I'll act on it.
Great. So, and that's, you checked with council and council are telling you it's fine to serve on both.
Council hasn't said anything.
Oh, I see. But you've asked. Right.
but fast.
Okay, great. Thank you for that update. Any other questions or comments or edits about our minutes and our notes from our retreat? Okay, the only thing that I will comment on is that the notes from the retreat did have some items as, action items and follow-ups. And I'm keeping track of those, and, we can agendize discussion on those for future meetings. But I don't believe there was any specific item to follow up on in this meeting. All right, with that, I believe the motion is already on the floor to and the second to approve those minutes and notes. If there's no more discussion, let's move to a quick voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. Thank you. The motion passes. Those minutes and notes are adopted. Now, moving on to swearing in a new commissioner, which, maybe we'll need in a future meeting. To have someone else to establish quorum, although that was a rare event. I've been attending commission meetings for over 3 years. I've never seen a quorum fail to materialize. And while I'm pontificating here, we do have one commissioner who, Commissioner Roxana Enriquez, is at the City of Belmont's City Hall meeting tonight. She was asked by the city to accept a Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation on behalf of the community. So I want to let everybody know that's one reason why we have a commissioner absent, in addition to some vacations and school meetings and last minute emergencies. So with that, moving on to our next item. Alan Bustos is here, and so is Judge Etizadi to swear him in. So Judge Etizadi, please take it away.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Alan. How are you today?
Good evening, Your Honor. I'm doing good. Yourself?
Nice to meet you. So I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. And what I'm going to do is have you read this. I'll repeat it and then you repeat after me. So I state your name, please.
I, Alan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties I am about to enter.
discharge the duties I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Congratulations, Alan. Welcome.
Thank you. That's a big-
And with you, our count makes 7. So doing really well on quorum, and you are able to vote if we need to, or you should participate and vote from here on out in the meeting. It's great to have you officially. All right. Thank you, Judge Etizadi. And this is when we move on to item 2 on the agenda and pause to ask if there are any members of the public that would like to comment on any items of interest to the commission that are not on the agenda. If there's anything that our attendees and public would like to bring to our attention that's not on the agenda, this is the time to do it. Okay, hearing none, we'll keep moving on. I see that some members of the public are introducing themselves in chat. Thank you for that, and anyone else who would like to feel you are welcome to do that. We would love to hear from you. The next section of the agenda is section 3, is when we hear from our county partners on any sort of updates and trends that they're seeing. And first up is Judge Ddpc.
Thank you, Monroe. I really don't have anything to add, except to say that I continue to encourage members of the commission to come to court in person and observe proceedings. I always see Johanna Rasmussen, and I've seen Paul Bocanegra, and of course, Nori, but I encourage other members. I know it's hard if you're working full time to come to court. I very much appreciate that, but I think it's important for commission members to come to court and observe proceedings in person to really see what it's like. Of course, over the years, I've also seen Melissa Wilson there a lot, so I know she's familiar with the courtroom and so forth, but I really do encourage folks to come to court and really see what it's like and what happens in court. So,
And
the
Judge,
only thing
what
that
are,
I add. Yes.
what are the best days or best times? Because I get confused about that.
Sure, that's a great question, Melissa. Well, the way we do it is Mondays and Wednesdays, I handle dependency cases in the afternoon, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I handle juvenile justice cases. So then Mondays and Wednesdays, Judge Cadet handles juvenile justice cases.
Oh.
So literally 4 days a week, we have
Okay.
juvenile justice cases being heard in either department. In the mornings is when we reserve cases for hearings, contested hearings. So we could have 602 hearings, juvenile justice cases, or dependency. And for those of you who may be new, Judge Cadet and I do both juvenile justice cases, formerly known as juvenile delinquency, and we also do juvenile dependency cases. So we do both areas of law. But 4 days a week, we have 602s, those are the juvenile justice cases, in the afternoons, every afternoon. And in the mornings, we have hearings, and they can be juvenile justice or dependency. You can always call our departments if you want to come in the mornings to see what's going on, but certainly every afternoon we have stuff going on.
Okay.
So in either department.
So
yes.
afternoon, like 1 o'clock.
Well, we start at 2. We
2.
always start
Okay,
at
thank
2.
you.
Yes, start at 2.
Okay.
And then we start in the morning at 9.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
question. Great question. It is confusing.
I just forget.
It's
and then
easy
I
to forget. Yeah.
once I
But
once
either
I-
department, we do both,
okay.
you know,
Great, thank you.
4 days a week. And then on Fridays, we have no court in the afternoon. And on Friday mornings, sometimes we have adoptions. So, and meetings. Great question, though.
Thank you.
So come to court. We'd love to see you. I have you come back in chambers and show you the back area of the courtroom. Johanna and Paul have been back there, and I think you've been back there too, Melissa. We'll show you what it's like. So if you're interested. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judge Ddpc.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Next up, updates from probation. I know that Superintendent Clark is at a conference, but I know Ms. Stauffer is here. And Melanie, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I have a couple of things to report out on for Ms. Clark. Excuse me. I'll start with, we have 23 youth on EMP. That's pre-dispo and post-dispo. So youth who are not on probation yet, and then youth who are on probation. We have 16 youth in the Youth Services Center and 5 girls at camp. We have 1 youth who is still at DJJ, and we're starting to have conversations about his return back to our community at some point, hopefully early next year or mid next year. We have 5 youth who receive AB 12 services, And those are non-minor dependents that have gone through or have been in placement previously. 0 youth in placement, which we're still very happy about. We're very preventative focused and working with all of our youth and families. We have 16 deputy probation officers, and one data request that was asked for a few months back was how many new cases do we get for the month? So for the month of August, we received a total of 60 new cases. 39 were sent to the DA's office. We weren't able to divert those cases. We had 6 diversion for petty theft program and letter of reprimand, and 15 cases to be assessed. And so those are youth that the probation officer will work with a clinician from BHRS and determine if we can put them on a 90-day contract or 6-month contract with services. And that's not on probation, so that's still diversion. We currently have 3 youth who are on a 90-day contract and 1 youth who is on a 6-month contract, diversion. And those cases tend to be very successful. We have 64 female youth and 250 male youth in total that we're working with in the probation department. 185 youth are for August for diversion and intake, and 120 in supervision. So it's a total of 305. We have 9 youth who have gang orders, and the youth that we serve broken down by race, 51% are Hispanic Latino, 13% white, 11% Black or African American, 6% it says other race ethnicity, 4% is Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, 3% Asian, and 2% unknown. And that could possibly be just that when we're interviewing you, they don't want to provide any information. And then I was asked this time to provide the top cases of referrals that go to the DA's office. So for the month of August, the top 5 offenses were commercial burglary, battery, misdemeanor, felony assault with great bodily injury, felony robbery, and felony conspiracy to commit a crime. So I think I covered everything, but please let me know if you have any questions.
I'm
Just to
gonna,
clarify, sorry, Melissa, I'll let you go in a second. Just to clarify on that last, those last data, those are the most common cases. Is that right?
Yes.
The highest percentage of those types of cases.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Commissioner Wilson, go ahead. Sorry.
so first of all, Melanie, thank you for that expanded view. I know it takes extra effort on your part, but it really gave some texture that I appreciate. A question I had was about electronic monitoring. I had thought, thinking about previous years, the electronic monitoring was only a post-disposition option, and it sounds like it's now pre-disposition as well. And I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, and it always has been. So the court can release a youth on EMP pending their court hearing if the judge believes that the youth isn't a threat to the community. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. And Paul?
Good evening, and thank you, for that presentation. What a great and highly detailed presentation. One question: how many of these youth, if you know, are suffering from a diagnosed mental illness or on medication management?
You know, Paul, that's probably something, and thank you, by the way, that's probably something that BHRS might be able to provide information for. Okay. And sorry, I don't want to like throw my partner under the bus, but definitely they might be able to give more context to that question.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Of course. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions from commissioners, then why don't we Why don't we move on to the next item on the agenda? Thank you, Melanie. The next item is a report from Children and Family Services, John Fong. He was not able to attend this month. He did send his usual report ahead of time to me. It was not attached to the agenda packet. So I'm just going to myself, since he provided that information, to read out a few of the high-level data points here. First of all, youth in the dependency system, the total number is 136. Of those, 79 are placed in San Mateo County. And so that means there are another 57 who are out of county. However, of those 57, only 23, which is 17%, are placed outside of Bay Area counties. In short-term residential treatment programs, there are only 4 youth, and out of the 136, 9 are dual status, meaning both in the dependency system as well as the juvenile justice system. So I have some other, actually I'll go one other I think interesting point here is that out of the 136, there are a significant percentage that are placed with relatives or extended family members. And out of the 79 who are in county, 51 of those are with relatives or extended family members. And out of the 57 that are out of county, 36 are with the same. So those are some of the highlights. I will attach the full report to the minutes so that that's made available. And if any commissioners have questions, I have the report in front of me.
Monroe, would you be able to forward that report to each commissioner in case we have questions?
Yes, I will both attach to the minutes, but I can also send out to commissioners as well. I can forward the email that John sent. Yep. Okay. We also, not on the agenda, well, actually, sorry, the next item I think on the agenda is to hear from Ron Reyes from the Private Defender Program. Ron, are you still there?
I'm here. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Reyes, Managing Attorney of the Juvenile Office for the Private Defender Program. So I was in a meeting recently, and then it kind of came to my attention that some of the services we offer, not too many people are aware of, and that's important, I thought, for this member of this commission to be aware of. And I know many of you are out and about in the community, so it would be great to have you as an ambassador to let people know about it. And one of the things one of the program I'm going to talk about today is sealing of records. And then next month, I can talk about the pre-arrest services that we provide our youth. For tonight, what we do is under the law change in 2016 for sealing of records, and now we, in collaboration with the court, the district attorney's office and probation, we were able to create a program in our county where anytime a case that is had ended and then the youth probation terminated, they will qualify automatically for us for the sealing process. And our attorneys, and as I mentioned, with our justice partners, are able to go through that process for them. We also have cases who have youth who have been out of the system for a while and have came back to us, and we have been able to do their sealing of their records. And then there are clients who in the years past who had juvenile adjudications and their history, and if they came back to us, whether they were represented by our program or not, we also help them to seal their records. So if you come across anybody who have any juvenile adjudication in their past and they want to seal their record, by all means, please send them our way. I will put our number and email address in the chat here shortly, so you will be more than happy to help them at no cost. So that's an important thing, an important service I want to make sure that everybody is aware of. Also for next month, I'll be able to update you on some of the legislative that is pending before the governor. Hopefully by Friday, we'll have a clear idea of what he signed and what he vetoed. So that's kind of my update for this month. And I'm happy to take any questions. Oh, and then one last thing. Just to give you an idea, since July 1st till today, we sealed 23 records for youth. So that's a process it's an ongoing, and we're always happy to do that for our youth that we represent.
Is the juvenile having to be proactive or the former juvenile, the 18-year-old plus, having to be proactive at all, or is sealing happening essentially automatically at this point?
Unfortunately, for the ones who've been out of the system for a while, and their attorneys either retired, we don't have a way to reach them, so we rely on them to reach us, and then once they do, we'll take care of everything from there.
But all the all the more current cases, the youth or former youth doesn't have to be proactive or approach your office. You're automatically doing that work for them.
That's correct.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. It's a big deal.
Sure. And there's more to come. Hopefully, if the governor signs the bill that I've been working on, there'll be more changes to the sealing records and further relief that will be afforded to our youth. So we'll be able to report more on that next month.
I have a quick question. Thank you, Ron, for that update. My question is, how long do you believe, like on an average, does it take to have this process from the beginning to the end complete? And I have a meeting coming up with Senator Becker and the executive director with a team of lawyers from Root and Rebound out of Alameda County who are very displeased with the process that San Mateo has to go through in order to seal a record. So just by curiosity, this is a question that I'm going to ask them probably next week. Would you have like an average time of what it takes to have this process complete from beginning to end?
For one, just to clarify your question, Paul, is it when the youth qualifies for sealing?
Correct.
It's matter of days.
Days. And what about if they've been out of the system?
That really depends on how old the case is, because we have to locate the case, bring up the file. It has to be uploaded in the court system, and then the process has to be, and then the case has to be assessed what type of sealing law apply to that case. And then once all that figured out, then it shouldn't take too long for the sealing to happen.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other questions from commissioners for Ron? Okay, thank you very much for that update. And I will piggyback on the second part of his update about a legislative update coming on actions that have been taken by the governor to just to let everyone know that the commission has a legislative coordinator or coordinators. Those coordinators have been Commissioner Huber Levy and Commissioner Bocanegra. Going forward, Commissioner Liu is going to step in for Commissioner Huber Levy to let her focus on some other areas and work with Paul, Commissioner Bocanegra, on as legislative coordinator and to help us with legislative updates. Thank you, Paul, for your service on that. And I know you're looking forward to working with Wesley. And Paul, I don't have the ability to do this, but can you lower your hand? Because I assume you don't have another question. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda was an update from BHRS. Ms. Pena let me know that she's not able to, she was not able to make the meeting, but she plans on coming to our next meeting to give us an update since it's been a little while since we've heard from BHRS. But we do have Shelley Johnson, who is the principal of Court and Community Schools from the County Office of Education, who's here. And we often hear from County Office of Education as well. So Ms. Johnson, we'd love to get a quick update from you as well.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. Hi, all right. So I had a great visit a couple, I think, gosh, Anna, was it 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago?
It was on the 12th. The time just flies by, doesn't it, Shelley?
It does, it does. So we had a great visit. And so I very much appreciate Suffolk and Joanna coming and visiting with the staff, myself and the students. We had about a 4-hour visit and I feel like it went really well. And we had to discuss about, like anything else, it's like the work is never done, and that's a good thing. It's a new opportunity. So we're continuing to have those discussions. As far as student programming, I'm really excited. So we have been able to vet San Mateo Union Credit Union. They're going to start with financial literacy back in the court schools and then come down to community school. So I'm excited about that educational opportunity. We finalized with Project Change for the spring semester, as I mentioned before. So we will be having both ethnic studies per student request, along with an art class, a sketching art class for students. So I'm excited to see that unfold and hoping that I believe the students are motivated to have an art show. So I'll be making sure to include Joanna and Slaflick in that. And so I'm excited about that. You too, Melissa. And then we're starting to work with safe and supportive routes to school this semester. So we have a 2-week vaping educational class that's going to be at both Kemp and at Gateway for this semester, and then transition into Hillcrest and Canyon Oaks the spring. And then our former art coordinator, Michelle Holt, is going to be visiting Gateway next week and Hillcrest. Hillcrest will have opportunity for an art project that day. And then Gateway will be starting their starter pages on their slide decks about their personal progress as they transition back to district. And then we're continuing our work with Real Life Matters / Camp Lead. That's continuing their mentorship. And we're going to be having our first field trip in 2 weeks at least Gateway, where we're going to be venturing out to the Exploratorium in San Francisco. And so I'm excited about that because that is in alignment with our project-based learning on mechanics that's happening at the community school. And then we're going to start venturing that project-based learning into the court schools by December. And so next month, I'm hoping to give you an update about the specifics of those projects and hoping to maybe get some documentation to share. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for that update, Ms. Johnson. I have I see we have hands raised, but I'll jump in and ask a quick question. You mentioned the art teacher and arts curriculum. Is that at Hillcrest, at Kemp, or community schools? The reason I ask is one of the projects that we've been working on is looking into applying for a grant in order to provide more arts programming at Kemp and Hillcrest. that would be after school, like in the evening, maybe working with the Beat Within on that. So maybe would love to get you involved in those discussions or understand about those art teachers and art curriculum that you have.
Absolutely. And so to your question, it will be featured at Hillcrest and Kemp. And so as far as in-person dynamics, those haven't quite been fleshed out yet. However, we do plan on featuring it. It's going to be a 3-unit course that'll be featured on a Monday and a Wednesday. And so it'll run standard 12 weeks. And so curious to see what students will produce in terms of their own personal style. But I'm really excited to hear about your programming in the evenings. And then there's a collaboration opportunity there as far as art show and representing and
Yeah, for sure.
you know, all of that, the student-centered expression. So definitely would like to connect with you about that as that gets fleshed out.
I will reach out. Commissioner Rasmussen, looks like she got her hand up first before Commissioner Bocanegra.
I just wanted to thank Ms. Johnson for her time and energy and effort that she puts forth at the school there. I was so impressed with, you know, the teachers, the staff. They are so committed. I mean, their heart is in this. They care about these children. They want to educate them. And it shows because the children consistently report that school is the highlight of their time there. We have kids who couldn't make it to school who are now the quote, student body president organizing 3-day career and college events on Zoom. We've got children who are on the honor roll, and these are big firsts for them. And so I just wanted to congratulate you on your successes and thank you and your staff for the dedicated work that you do every day.
Thank you so much. And I so appreciate, I cannot believe I spaced that our academic counselor, Lauren Sneed, has been tremendous. And so she's really working with the students about independently representing, especially after they've graduated, so that they build up more soft skills in terms of organizing events. And so we have a recent graduate, actually 2 recent graduates that spent an abundant amount of time in her offices. They're organizing a 3-day career fair with different vocational speakers. There's actually an MMA fighter that's going to come on and speak to them about the coaching aspect for those who are interested in that avenue. So I'm excited about that event and we'll be excited to report out on it. So thank you for that reminder, Joanna.
Commissioner Wilson.
Shelley, direct any of those entrepreneurial youth our way to join the commission.
All right, let's keep moving and see how far we can get into our agenda by the time 7:15 rolls around. And I just wanted to note for everyone that I do see that Commissioner Amaya Nori has joined us. Welcome, Amaya.
Sorry.
Looks like we're up to 8 now, so fantastic. All right. The next item on the agenda is update on inspections. Commissioner Rasmussen, take it away.
Okay, I'll make this very brief. I believe that all of the inspections have formally begun or they've actually been completed. I know at the YSC, I'm sorry, it's dinner time at my house and things can get loud at times. The YSC, we have a few things to wrap up on October 4th. And I am contacting each of our local police departments to see who detained or kept a youth in their police departments. The list that we received from the state, it was incomplete. And so we're doing that. I've only been able to identify the Redwood City Police Department that will need to be inspected. But I believe that is the update, the full update on inspections. We should start to report out next month.
Right, and I was leading the camp inspection, which took place at the end of last week, and the staff there were very helpful. We gathered a lot of information, Commissioner Flores and I. So we're kind of processing all of that right now, and may need to go back to them with some more questions, but expect to have a draft by next at the next meeting. Any other commissioners have updates on their inspections and how things are going? Okay, great. We'll have time at the next meeting, and then at the November meeting, which is the last scheduled meeting of the year, is when we would expect to vote on reports and adopt them, so that we can then forward them to whoever we need to whoever we need to. So more to come on that for the next two meetings agendas. Okay, great. Thank you, Commissioner Rasmussen. We have other commission administrative business. We're now on section 5 of our agenda. 5A was a membership update from Commissioner Enriquez. She is not present. So I think we will wait until next month to do a membership update. I don't believe there's anything significant happening on that front. So moving on to 5B, I wanted to let everyone know that as the school year has started and the youth commission, the county youth commission is up and running, we have one new and one returning youth commission liaison to the Juvenile Justice Commission, and I just wanted to introduce them. I see them both on, I believe, yes. Alex is returning, and Zahara is new to as a liaison, I should say. So maybe if you guys could just let us know like where you go to school and what year you are, and maybe one other thing you want to add if you'd like. Alex?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a senior at Menlo Atherton High School, and I've actually been involved in juvenile justice, not only being a liaison to this commission for the past year, but also I've worked with the diversion program in Pierpoint for a little bit now as well. So yeah, excited to be here.
Glad to have you. Zahara?
Yeah, my name is Zahara. I'm a junior at Menlo Atherton. I first got involved with juvenile justice through Pierpoint, and that's how I heard about the Jddpc. So since it's my second year on the youth commission, I decided I wanted to be a liaison here.
Well, welcome to you both, and I see that the Nori brothers are blazing a trail of active Menlo Atherton High School students, which we love to see. Both Alex and Zahara, we're hoping to get involved in some of our subcommittees and see them at our meetings. So welcome to you both. All right, next. I already made an announcement on 5C about our new legislative coordinator, and I had one other announcement with administrative business, which is that our operating policy says that we, in our last meeting of the year, which would be our November meeting, we hold elections for officers for the following year. And so the operating policy also calls on the chair to form a nominating committee for officers. So last year, we had our elections for officers at our November meeting. In October, we also had nominees announced and said a few words. So I am putting out the call to commissioners who are interested in serving on the nominating committee to please let me know. This week would be great. Let me know if you're interested in doing that. And I'm looking particularly for commissioners who are not intending to run for office. For one of the officer roles next year. So if you'd like to help lead the nominating process, please reach out to me. Okay. Any questions about that from any commissioners? All right, one thing that we haven't done yet in the meeting, we've been speeding along in our agenda, but I did call for members of the public, if they wanted to make any comment on items not on the agenda, they could do that at the beginning of the meeting. But I do also want to pause for our agenda items. And so far, the items that we've discussed, are there any members of the public that would like to make public comment? Let us know anything more about the items we have already discussed. Okay, hearing none, we appreciate your attendance. We know you're learning a lot, but if you want to make public comment, you are welcome to just raise your hand. Moving on now to item 6 on the agenda. We have updates from commissioners and subcommittees. And the first item is from Commissioner Wilson, 6A. She has been working on getting access to juvenile facilities for, this says youth commissioners, capital Y, capital C. I want to clarify that does not mean Alex and Zahara. It should probably be a small y. That means juvenile justice commissioners who are under 18. Commissioner Wilson, take it away.
Yes, so I received an email this afternoon and Chief Keen is changing position. And so our commissioners, juvenile justice delinquency prevention commissioners who are under the age of 18 will have facility access, which is wonderful news to me. For those of you who didn't know, I was a young commissioner myself back in the day. And so this access was very important to me to ensure that stayed in place for our current young people and for young people going forward, and so that the youth in the facility were represented by as many people from as many backgrounds as possible. There are a number of people who gave a lot of support in this, and so I just want to recognize and thank Monroe and the judge and Zahara and Alex and Amaya and Wesley and Leisha. Those are people on this call who were all, of assistance and took their time out of their lives to engage in this issue. And then, and I think I said Leisha, I hope I did. And then in absentia, Judith Holber really dug in there and worked hard on this, as did David Canepa and his staff. And I hope I haven't forgotten anybody, but thank you. So we do not have to address that letter.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not aware, Judith Holber is our county counsel. She's on the letterhead of our on the agenda that you have. So she was very helpful in guiding us through this and helping us understand all sides of the issue and the risks and benefits associated with it, as good counsel do. So that's good to hear. And there is, just so everyone knows, there is a draft memorandum in the agenda packet, which we don't need to discuss or vote on because the issue has been resolved.
I should probably ask Chief Keen if he wants to take any steps about having it clarified, the confidentiality. Like, it's not a bad idea to put that on paper. So that I'm thinking maybe, I haven't replied to his email, but I'm thinking maybe I do that.
Okay, there might be some follow-up that we might want to let people know about at our next meeting. But for now, the item, the draft memorandum, we can take it off the agenda. We don't need to discuss. Are there any commissioners? Do commissioners have any comments or questions about this? or any other members of the public? Okay, thank you for your work on this, Commissioner Wilson, and your passion about it. Much appreciated. We will move on now to item 6B. This is Reimagined Juvenile Hall is what the item is called. This is for, just to remind people, a year ago, in fact, it was about a year ago, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution that we asked to form a committee to look at some renovations and a reimagining of the interior of Juvenile Hall. And Commissioner Bocanegra and I serve on that county committee. We meet monthly, and we did have a meeting in the last month. I'll give a quick update, and then Commissioner Bocanegra, if you want to jump in and add anything, please do. But just a quick update is that one of the items that the state legislature acted on, that the governor signed during this year's state budget process, was allocating $100 million across the entire state to all 58 counties for making renovations in juvenile halls to make changes that are needed to kind of bring them more up to speed with current thinking on more rehabilitative and supportive environments in juvenile halls. Out of that 100 million, I believe it's $1.5 million is going to get allocated to San Mateo County. And with $1.5 million, Chief Keen informed the committee, and we've discussed on the committee before that it's not enough money to do the things like changing the structure, but it is money available for things like refreshing paint and lighting and maybe other things. But the probation department is now working on a plan of how to use that allocation from the state, and the committee that Paul and I are serving on will hear more about it, more about that plan, and then I think the intention is to get that plan in front of the Board of Supervisors before the end of the year, in order to have some agreement about what should be done to use that budget to make some changes inside the hall. So that's some progress, and more to come on that. Paul, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, definitely, because there's community members and leaders on this platform right now with us that are a part of the work that I'm doing, as well as research that I'm doing, as well as advocating. And I think that it's fair that we inform the community that out of this 100 and something million dollars, like Monroe said, we are receiving about $1.5 million. And when this committee was created, it was created by the Board of Supervisors to gather many of the leadership within the juvenile criminal justice system, as well as community, which Monroe and I represent, to advocate for structural changes, right? To soften the environment, as was put on public record at the Board of Supervisor. And as our first meeting began with our Honorable Judge Edizadi advocating to keep the doors open overnight for our youth. Unfortunately, the state, again, our youth has fallen through fragmented services through the state. On the state level, there is not going to be enough money to soften the environment. It's going to remain a 270 design-like prison, where our kids will be serving up to the age of 25, and we have about 5 youth, I believe, in there for arrested for pretty serious crimes that will result in them being there probably until the age of 25. And it's unfortunate that their environment will be a cage door opening and being kicked out right back into our neighborhoods without this softening an environment, right? Like the step down, as we see for adult prisoners who have a step down opportunity. We're not going to see that here, and we're spending about 1.5 to about $2 million a year per youth. And right now, they lack space for mental health. They lack open space to move around. They're incarcerated to these adult-like cages, and we are not going to receive the money to soften the environment, which is extremely sad. But the reason I want to put this on the record here for the community that I'm working with here that's present tonight is that there's still an opportunity to reach out to our Board of Supervisors and on a county level, really fill these voids to prevent fragmented services from continuing to happen here with our youth that are really suffering. And it will be our communities that suffer if these kids come home without an opportunity to be empowered by our taxpayer dollars, so that they come out and they can join us in the work that we're doing. We know that without programming, vocational training, that recidivism is extremely high. And I hope that the community today come together and really reach out to the Board of Supervisors, reach out to your district leaders and advocate, because all of us that are at the table right now, and again, our honorable judge Edizadi's at the table, Monroe's at the table, Ron Reyes is at the table. There's a lot of us here at the table. I see you, Leah. So again, we're at the table, we're advocating, we're doing everything we can. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity to bring the community into the picture, to really apply pressure to the Board of Supervisors to fill that void with economical support, to soften this environment that we intended to do when we came together. So that's just an update. And again, I work with many of you in the community, and I'll continue to keep everyone informed. And I look forward to maybe gathering and mobilizing some sort of outreach to our Board of Supervisors to really press them to soften this environment, because it really is unfair what's happening to our youth. So that's my report on reimagining juvenile hall, and thank you.
Do you have a sense, when you talk about the economic void, how big a void are we talking about? Like, have you worked up a budget of what you'd like to see happen? Costed anything out?
Well, we would probably have to consult with some sort of contractor on what it would take to maybe remodel, maybe even camp, right? Like, we're not really using it right now. That would be an awesome opportunity to really allow our young youth to transition back into our community through camp. So if we are using existing resources and facilities, I think that it would be much cheaper. But again, I would just be assuming. I can ask for maybe 152 million. That's what it took to create what we have up there right now. That looks like a prison. Maybe that would be awesome.
Yeah, Melissa, I'll add that one of the things that we've discussed on the Reimagined Juvenile Hall Committee is the possibility of allocating dollars to study, to get
that information,
something like an engineering consulting,
a feasibility
something
study
like that,
because we have to know our ask, right? And if we don't
Yeah.
know our ask, we can't move forward on that. Yeah.
Yeah. The kind of the first 6 months of the existence of this committee is when the Office of Youth and Community Restoration, the new OYCR, office at the state level was created. The budget and the legislature was working on the budget. So we were kind of in wait and see mode to see what kind of guidance we might get from them, and what sort of guidance might come out of the budget. Now we know it's 1.5 million, which is not really enough to do things like structural change. And so, yeah, I think that it's also our responsibility as a commission to come up with ideas and make make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors. So I think that's something to work on at the end of the year here. I see that Kate Heister from Fly would like to make a comment on this item. Kate, go ahead.
Cool, thanks. So two pieces. One was a question I had in chat, which is the 1.5 million the same that's coming from the SB 823 realignment budget? Is that the same bucket, or is this an additional, in addition to that money that they had that was essentially startup funding, right, for SB 823?
It's in addition.
Okay.
This is a separate item that the legislature acted on where they allocated $100 million in the budget towards juvenile halls.
Okay. Because I think that would be an interesting question for probation. About, like, you know, I know that startup money for SB 823 was around, you know, it has to be specifically for that population, but I wonder if there's sort of a, you know, aligning things and bringing in multiple flows of money to try to do more. And then
also, Kate, I believe that SB 823 money is specifically for programming for youth that are returning from DJJ and setting up the secure track program, whereas the 100 million is specifically to be spent on facilities.
Yeah. So that maybe, I believe that there at least was some funding, and maybe San Mateo County missed it, I'm not sure, but I do know that like Santa Clara County is planning some changes to their facilities with the SB 823 money. I'm not sure how ours is designated. So it might be that it's only for programming, but I know that other counties are using money from SB 823 for facilities. So I would just encourage and ask there. And then I guess the other piece was, you know, so thank you, Paul, for what you're saying. And I totally agree with you. And I get my question there is just, what is the best timing if we have young people who want to speak to the Board of Supervisors and speak about the need to really make changes and invest in changes? I would love to encourage the young people that we work with to do that.
Yeah, I think, Kate, that's something that we should talk about after the meeting. But I would say that between now and Thanksgiving is the time. Mainly because I'm not sure of the exact timeline, but I think that probation is actively working on the plan now for spending that 1.5 million, and would like to get it in front of the Board of Supervisors before the end of the year. So to me, that always means try to get it in before the holidays. We do have another meeting coming up in October with the Reimagined Juvenile Hall Committee, in which hopefully we'll be seeing a draft of that plan, but that's TBD.
Awesome,
So
thanks. And
please,
then the last,
please reach out to me and Paul to talk about that.
absolutely. And I know I owe you an email anyway. So, and then last piece is just as an update, but I think it connects to this, is we did submit the report to the BSCC of our findings around their minimum standards. And so I will share that with you so you can share it with the commission. But that might also be helpful because that is, you know, direct youth feedback about facilities to help you, you know, push for different kinds of changes.
Thank you.
And I'm very interested in facilities. So if I can be of assistance, I'm interested.
Okay, great. Would love to get you involved. All right, I think we're making up time. This is impressive. Thank you everyone for being efficient. We are now on to item 6C and D, updates from Commissioner Rasmussen. I will also, before she gets going, just note that I think I've already updated on 6E, the arts programming grant. Actually, I'll provide a little more information about that. So sorry, Johanna, go ahead on gang intervention, prevention, and police liaison updates.
Okay, thank you. So since our last meeting, we've continued to meet with individuals, organizations, and agencies that work in the space of working with children who are involved in gangs, adults involved with gangs. Paul and I had an opportunity to go down. We were invited by the district attorney of Santa Clara County to come and view do a tour of their secure track, which was very impressive. And so we obtained a lot of information about that. And Paul and I also have been spending some time in neighborhoods that are known to be, have known gang activity. And so we're learning a lot about what's actually happening out on the street. And so that's helpful as well. So the project committee will continue to meet every other Tuesday. And I imagine that this project will probably not wrap up until after the first of the year. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I'll move on to police liaison. So as some of you may remember, back in July, on July 27th, there was an incident in Pacifica that involved an 11-year-old child playing with fireworks that ignited a fire on a rural piece of property. And the chief of the Pacifica Police Department, he's an interim chief, Chief Stratton, had issued a press release. And the press release actually was picked up by several news agencies, KTVU, KPIX, KRON, San Francisco Chronicle, and the like. So this was a big story. Many of you may have heard it. Well, this caught my attention as a police liaison because I was aware that back in 2019, Governor Brown had signed legislation, SB 439, which stated that juveniles under the age of 12 should not be detained or incarcerated unless it was a case such as murder, rape, and basically in the most extreme or heinous of circumstances. So I reached out, the interim chief at that time was on vacation by the time I reached out and made a connection. I reached out to the mayor of Pacifica, Mary Bear, and she was able to get me some information from the city manager until the police chief could return from vacation. We met. He was extremely grateful that we contacted him. He admitted that his officers were not aware of this law. And in his defense, it did come right, we had COVID in 2020, and this came out in 2019 around this time, which would have been the fall. But still, it was something that his officers and staff should have been aware of. So it was a wonderful opportunity to share the law with him. And since this time, he has trained the officers over at Pacifica. I've offered to come to a briefing or future trainings whenever a new law comes into place that they might need additional information. I offered the services of the commission to do that. And I've also invited them to attend our meetings and made a good connection in the community. We don't have many children who come from Pacifica, but this was a perfect example how our commission can take an issue and turn it into nothing adversarial, turn it into a positive educational opportunity. So we save resources. We save resources from the officer who writes the report, save resources at the district attorney's offices, save time and resources at the assessment center and probation. So just by reaching out and having this meeting, now we've educated the Pacifica Police Department and hopefully saved time and energy and resources and gotten everything straight. So that's my report. Does anyone have any questions?
Just thank you. I'm so glad that you're in a position to do this kind of outreach.
Ditto. Thank you so much, Commissioner Rasmussen. And thanks for that update. All right, not hearing any other questions for Commissioner Rasmussen. I will move on to 6E, a topic that has come up before at recent meetings, which is looking into the possibility of getting a grant for arts programming at Juvenile Hall, which I will note is when we first heard from Commissioner Bustos, our newest commissioner, who's also involved in this subcommittee looking at arts programming. So the update and the good news is that Robin Rodericks from the County Office of Arts, who Paul put us in touch with Commissioner Bokenegger put us in touch with, has found another foundation that might be able to provide funding, and is actually quite interested in hearing ideas from us. And so even though the Jumpstart grants, which we've talked about in the past, it looks like there may not be another round of applications for those until next spring. We have an opportunity in the meantime to work with a local foundation that that is supportive of helping to fund some arts programming in juvenile hall, and so there's a subcommittee that's working on putting together some ideas, which includes Robin Rodricks from the Office of Arts. I'm not getting that full name right, am I?
Office of Culture and Arts.
Yeah, maybe.
Something like
Anyway,
that.
Robin, and as we also have a representative from probation, Miss Ruiz who is a manager at Camp Kemp, who's helping us out. So hopefully more to report on that in the next couple of months. Johanna, I see you have a question.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to share that during my interview as part of the inspection process, I spoke with BHRS, and I know when this subcommittee first met, I was a member about what type of art do we want to bring. And I learned that BHRS actually has the drums. I know we spoke about doing drumming as part of some musical art there. So I just wanted to let folks know that while they're not using them now, they do have the drums if we wanted to start a drumming program.
That is interesting, because at the last subcommittee meeting, Commissioner Bustos brought to our attention something that he's working on with someone who produces beats, and the possibility of adding music and beats to the written word work that we're doing. I should add that David Inocencio, the founder of the Beat Within, which is a really popular program in the hall, is part of this subcommittee as well, because we're thinking about how to combine arts programming with the writing programming that the Beat Within does. So we'll see. Definitely an interesting project. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question, Monroe. With
Yeah.
this grant monies, would it also support maybe creating an art class to go with the educational program that we are offering our youth?
Yeah, in fact, Paul, that's specifically what this particular foundation has in mind, is arts classes. And this would be, I had asked Ms. Johnson earlier about the arts classes that might be part of the school day. This would be arts classes that happen in the evening as well, as part of evening programming.
Or weekend, or weekend.
or weekend. So it's all, the ideas are still kind of coming together. All right. Look at us. Somehow back on time, despite starting 45 minutes late. I'm very impressed with this commission. So item 7 on the agenda, quick updates, aka lightning round of updates from commissioners on various items. I will start 7A, follow-ups from our last meeting. One of the things that we voted on to move forward to look into was getting those stipends for commissioners for each meeting. And to remind everyone, the Welfare and Institutions Code allows for the possibility that the Board of Supervisors might provide us $25 per meeting to help cover costs. And I think this would be something good to help with potential commissioners coming from communities that overrepresent in juvenile justice. So I have met Supervisor Canepa is our supervisor who's a sponsor of our commission. I've met with his office and he's supportive of it, and we're just working on a proposal now. So fingers crossed, maybe we'll have that by the end of the year. That's my update on that item from last month. Commissioner Rasmussen, did you want to say anything about the Jddpc Award we voted on?
Yes, so what's happened since the last month is that the subcommittee has been formed. The subcommittee consists of Commissioner Bocanegra, Luis, and myself, and we hope to meet in October and to begin to discuss what this award and award program will look like.
Great. I already mentioned that looking into future meeting locations was something that came out of the last meeting that I have not been able to move forward. So more to come on that in the future. And then Commissioner Rasmussen, I put you back on the agenda because we voted in our last meeting to send a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors in support of creating civilian oversight of the Sheriff's Office. And that came before the board after our last meeting. If people have not heard, I thought you could give us a quick update on what happened there.
Well, I think it would probably be best if Commissioner Bocanegra did that because he was I
yeah.
believe he was the executive director or the president of Fix in San Mateo at one point.
That's right. Sorry, Commissioner Bocanegra.
I was the vice chair. I think the Board of Supervisor listened to the community, and it was such a beautiful day for democracy because we had a couple of Board of Supervisors that were pretty vocal about their opposition to civilian oversight. This partnership between community and a sheriff's department. You know, we see what's going on in Alameda County. We see what's going on in Santa Clara County right now. So the community saw a need for this with so many people being losing their life, unarmed people of color losing their life here to different incidents. And as a result of the murder of Mr. Floyd, they created this opportunity, provided us a state right. And so San Mateo, the community in San Mateo felt that we had a need to advocate for these rights, and it wasn't a time to be relinquishing them. And so they approached the Board of Supervisors, and again, two of the Board of Supervisors at our last meeting changed their view of civilian oversight, and then openly to the community explained that they were changing their view of it and moving to support civilian oversight as a result of community spirit. And so it was just like really beautiful to see them create this subcommittee of this two-pronged process where the community will actually have the ability to not only investigate, but to partner with the sheriff in creating policies that would be beneficial to both sides. Sheriffs, all law enforcement have a very difficult job. Like, it's a very complicated job. They wear so many hats as they're doing their job. And so, you know, we want to give them absolutely credit in this regard. And we have an incoming sheriff who is aware that she could use community support and partnership to provide better public safety for our community. So yeah, the Board of Supervisors really unanimously supported civilian oversight, created the subcommittee. And I think that the community in San Mateo County has come to understand that when we come together, that we can really effectuate change here and move the needle one step forward into being the leaders that we are in the Bay Area. So yeah, big props, big shout out to the Board of Supervisors for standing up for the community and making sure that this happens. So that was my experience there at the Board of Supervisors, speaking with them and also now being able to thank them.
I know that this was a tremendous multi-year push. And thank you, Paul, for investing in our community.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bocanegra, for that. And let's see, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 7B, an update on the commission's social media activity. Commissioner Rasmussen.
Okay, so social media, that was included in the agenda packet, our social media. I made a graphic. Every other month I make a graphic. I may start making it every month just to include in the agenda so we can reserve that time for other business because we have so much business to take care of every month. So
Yep.
our social media has been growing. It really last month was we had great growth. We were up 65% on Instagram. We've had over 2,000 visits on Twitter. Our YouTube views are up. Our most popular tweets and posts were revolved around our retreat and the Youth Bill of Rights, AB 2417, that's on the governor's desk right now, and AB 2361, the bill dealing with trying use as adults, was signed in by the governor. So those were our top posts. Things are going well. Basically now it's a matter of just putting out content. We do have new commissioners being sworn in, so we'll do a couple new update the spotlights. I'd also I went through our website and I noticed that some of our bios are outdated. So if you if our fellow commissioners could go onto our website, the San Mateo County website, and read your biography and see if there's something that you might want to update and change. And if you could get that to me, I could make sure that our site shows the most current information. So that's my report. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you for the work you put in maintaining our social media accounts, Commissioner Rasmussen. I know it's a lot of work. But that's a valuable platform to communicate with the community, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have just a couple minutes left. If there are any commissioners who have any other announcements, now's the time. I also just want to call attention to one of our attendees is Deborah Lewis from the OICR. She I mentioned the OICR earlier, but neglected to acknowledge Miss Lewis. So, Mr. Lewis, welcome. And she has put a number of announcements in the chat for those who want to learn more. But Ms. Lewis, did you want to say anything?
Oh, is this time for public comment?
Sure. Yes, please.
Oh, yeah. Hi, thank you, everybody. Great to be here and to represent the office. So I did put some information when you were talking about the funding and the spending of the millions of dollars. There is another $20 million that needs to be spent, and we're having a listening session tomorrow from 5 to 6 and welcome any ideas and information you'd like to share about how you think that should be spent, how it should be prioritized, what you see that's working. And I put that in the chat. There's a link. It's going to be a Zoom meeting. And you can also send an email if you'd rather do that in writing. So I wanted to share that announcement.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming to our meeting and waiting patiently for it to start. For anyone who wants any other information about this, it's in the chat. And with that, I think it's 7:14, unless there are any other announcements from commissioners.
I have a quick question regarding that 20 million. Was that, could that also be used for infrastructure amendments? Deborah, I think you're muted.
Based on my understanding, I put it in the chat. It's specifically for technical assistance. Let me get the wording right here. technical assistance, disseminate best practices, and issue grants to counties and probation departments for the purpose of transforming the juvenile justice system to improve outcomes.
Looks like there's also a link in the chat to the listening session where probably you can learn more about what it's about online.
So based on my understanding, not for facilities. This is not for facilities.
Thank you.
I had also reached out to OYCR to understand the grievance process and whether that was available to all youth in facilities or only available to the youth who are returning from DJJ, long-term youth, and got an email saying it's available to all youth in the facilities. And I have called the ombudsperson in the process of trying to find information. And he said, hey, lady, you got to get off the phone. We need to keep these lines open for families and youth. So, and there was not a wait. So I've test driven it. So I think that's just wonderful news to have another line of communication.
Yeah. Deborah, so that technical support, could that be like vocation training as well? Because our YSC has been open since 2005. And just visiting Santa Clara Juvenile Hall and the voc that they have, like DJJ will be adequately replaced here at home in Santa Clara County. When those kids come home, they'll have same wood shop, they'll have same welding, they'll have same forklift certification programs. They're gonna have a lot. Is that technical support, could that be used for voc as well? Because we have no voc in our YSC.
I definitely think that that is an idea that should be shared and elevated and brought to the attention of the office. We need to know what's working, where the gaps are, and understand that each county has unique needs.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis, for joining us. And like I said, there's more information in the chat and a link to that listening session for tomorrow. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anyone?
Oh, I second that emotion. I second that emotion.
And I think that's a good way to end. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and see you next month.
Buenas noches, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Buenas noches.
Thank you.
Adios.